بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Last week we mentioned chapter number 31. Bab awqat as-salawat al-khams. Times of the 5 compulsory congregational salah prayers. The times, awqat, of the 5 prayers. The times for the mandatory prayers that we make on a daily basis as Muslims. There are certain times which are agreed upon by all of the people of knowledge. This is when this prayer comes in, and this is when this prayer goes out. Or maybe times in which they only differ on one of the two. The ulama unanimously agree that Asr goes out like this, but they don't necessarily agree when Asr comes in. Or maybe an issue of a preference. They may differ on the most preferable time to make this prayer. The best time to make Salat al-Fajr is like this. And the best time to make Salat al-Fajr, no, he says like that. Also, we have what's mentioned in the translation, compulsory congregational. That is misleading. That's 2 different issues. What time does the prayer come in? What time does the prayer go out? What time is best for this prayer to be made? What time is disliked for this prayer to be made? From the aspect, the 2-pronged aspect of congregation, jama'ah, and salat al-fadh, one praying by himself. They're 2 different issues. Is it the sunnah for someone who's sick to delay this prayer in the house or in the hospital? Is it the sunnah for a woman who's praying in the house to make the prayer at the earliest time and she's not in the jama'ah? There's a difference. All of these things are detailed issues here of this chapter heading. The times of the 5 prayers. Number 1, times in which the ulama agree on. When it comes in, when it goes out. Times in which the ulama, they may differ on one of the 2. They agree that it goes out at this time, but they don't agree on what time it exactly comes in. Or issues of preferability. It's best to make Salat al-Fajr with this amount of lightness in the sky or that amount of darkness in the sky. It's best to make Salat al-Isha by yourself at this time, in Jama'ah at that time. وَهَكَذَا. Everybody clear on this? وَهَكَذَا. The times of the 5 daily prayers. The times of the 5 daily prayers. We also mentioned in last week's class the importance of the Muslim learning and having a crash course on the basics of time calculation for the 5 daily prayers. The basics. Having a basic grasp that Salat al-Dhuhr comes in at this time. And how to figure it out by himself. In general, even if you don't have the ability to do it specifically. When does Salat al-Maghrib come in? When you can't see the sun anymore? Okay, what about people who live in a mountainous area? Or skyscrapers downtown? Or what do you do on a cloudy day? Now, and this issue is a reflection of our lifestyle as a whole, with regards to technology, with regards to advancement, ease, simplicity, instant gratification, wahakadha. Now, some of us, we couldn't do basic things. Catch a fish. Let alone scale the fish. Let alone fillet the fish. Let alone cook the fish. We go to the supermarket, I'll take what? 3 pounds of filleted swordfish. Just like that. Done. Everybody clear on this? وَهَكَذَا. So the prayer schedule, the timetable, Islamic Finder, Google, your app. It's good to know a little bit of the history and the background of these things. Those who have the knowledge and the mental capacity to learn it and to practice it, to go out on a camping trip, go out in the woods, in the desert, to go on a tall building, looking for the moon, going beyond the airport, looking, that's a different story, now, where it's pitch black dark. You go deep sea fishing, you go deep sea fishing for bluefish, مثلا. Or deeper than that you may go. And it's at nighttime, and it's what? Nothing but you and the stars. Where's the North Star? How do we find the Qibla when it's dark? That's a different level. That's a different what? That's a different level. That level is not mandatory And it isn't compulsory upon every Muslim to learn and to practice. But some Muslims should know how to do it. And even the layman should have a general what? Idea. General idea for a greater appreciation of his or her religion. A greater appreciation for his or her religion. And for the beautiful Sharia. The beautiful Sharia of Islam. And more respect for the people of knowledge who have dealt and who deal with these issues in detail and in depth. Khair, inshallah. So we have Hadith of Abdullah, first and foremost, is the Hadith of Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. Hadith 354 and also 355. And then we have the Hadith of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha and 356. So 3 hadiths in the chapter. And just like the other chapters, but specifically now, we really can't get a clear, precise, accurate understanding of the chapter unless we go outside of this book. Whether it's Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim. Especially Sahih Muslim. Let alone the other books of Hadith. With regards to what is the foundation, what's the asl of the timetable system. What is the what? The asl of the timetable system. Also, the concept of the fast approaching month of Ramadan. And one of the greatest eternal arguments and fights is the moon sighting. Can we use the local moon sighting or the international moon sighting? Should we follow the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, or should we follow Pakistan or Turkey or the ulama of South Africa? Is it permissible to use calculation? Can we look at the calendar and know when Ramadan is coming 6 months, a year before Ramadan or not? Is it possible? Is it even astronomically possible to see the moon in Peru on this date? Or they say we want to go with the moon sighting of Peru and not with the moon sighting of Saudi Arabia. Who's in Peru? What Muslims? There are Muslims there, but who? Do you know who they are? What body of ulama? What integrity do you, what knowledge do you have of the people there in Peru? So I'm not going to take the Saudis, they're totally corrupt. They're sighting of the moon. But I want to go with what? Peru. Something is very wrong with our system. Now, I've said in meetings like this, without exaggeration. Okay? Is it permissible to use the calculation and use the natural naked eye? Look for it with the naked eye and also use the calculation, a mixture of both. The Muslims who live in America and Canada, who are minorities, in which you have to rent a center, food has to be prepared, school, work, vacation. You have to rent a car. You have to do everything ahead of time. It's not a Muslim land in which a person can just take off of a week from work. Everyone is off for Eid. What is the ease and the facilitation of Muslim minorities using the calculation? Fighting and differing. 10 masjids in the city, 20 masjids in the city, and we have 3 different days of Eid. Because one says, I'm not taking what Saudi says, I'm going with Peru. And the other says, I'm going to go with Saudi and I'm not going to listen to Peru. And the third says, our Qibla is another direction and we're going to go with the calendar. It's impossible. The scientists and the astronomers say the moon cannot be sighted on this day. So these are all different things that all pertain to this concept of the Prophet ﷺ teaching us a way of doing something. Does that mean that it's haram to do otherwise? And from the double standard of the people who say that you cannot use calculation, they say that the Prophet ﷺ said, Sumu li ru'yati. See the moon, that's when you fast. And he never ever said use a hisab. And the people had a hisab back then, so on and so forth. Tayyib. And then their opponents, they're going to say what about this chapter? The Prophet ﷺ, he never ever said use a what? A calendar for Asr. He never said use a timetable for Maghrib. The masjid, the Jummah, everything is based off of a what? Kullu shay. Jummah starts this time. Asr comes in at that time. The adhan is at this time. Did the Prophet ever say use those things? He didn't. Did Jibreel tell him to use those things? He didn't. They say, oh no, it's a difference. It's just, it's a conversion. It's the same thing, so on and so forth. Those who say that you can use the calculations for the moon, they say the what? The same thing. So that's a very, very long argument. That's a very long argument. What's important is upon the people who give religious verdicts, religious rulings, who give advice, whether they're living in America, Canada, UK, or not, they must take into consideration the condition of Muslims who live as minorities. It is a must, an absolute must. Does that mean the halal becomes haram, the haram becomes halal? No. Does that mean we change Allah and His Messenger's rulings? No. But if a ruling isn't 101% concrete, the ruling of Allah and His Messenger, but it's based off of ijtihad, it can go more than one way, the proof and evidence, then the Muslims living as minority, what? It must be taken into what? It has to be taken into consideration. And that's from the dawabit al-fatwa. The ulama say, min dawabit al-fatwa. From the guidelines of an accurate fatwa is the state of the people to whom it is given. So this is very, very important, okay? And it's upon the Muslims to be mature and to accept and acknowledge their blunders with regards to the fiqh of North America. Okay? It's very important. Khairan, inshallah. So therefore, Khalid, the question is, what do you do when it's time to pray on a cloudy day? Use calculation. Based off of what? The previous day when it was sunny. So therefore, he said when it's a cloudy day, use the calculation of the previous day when it was sunny outside. Okay, so that means that the next day, the time is going to be relatively what? Relatively similar. Give or take a few minutes. So based off of your theory, that proves that the whole entire prayer schedule is generally what? Or can be generally what? Calculated. Can be generally what? Calculated. Alright, let's go even deeper than that. Let's not talk about the times. The qibla, the direction. Where is the qibla? Is it east? Is it northeast or is it southeast? Ahmed, you don't pray? So where do you pray? Whatever the app tells you. Who made that app? What? It may not be a Muslim who made the app. Northeast, from North America. To Mecca is northeast? From New York City is northeast or southeast? So what's closer to the equator? Mecca or the northeastern sector? Mecca. So how would you, logically based on what you said, how do you go north when it's closer down? We can agree that it's east. I think hopefully all Muslims can agree that it's what? East. It's east. Oh man. So is the earth flat or round, Yahi? It's flat. Allah Akbar. Tahir, he says it's flat. Flat earth. Tahir. So it's flat. So like this, it's northeast pole. Boom. Tahir. What you say about the Khalid? Tahir. What's important is that the direction of, or even using a compass, is based off of what, Abdul Qawi? Some type of what? Calculation. So we're either going to do one or three things now. Number one, all calculation is what? Bad. Haram. You can't use it. Number two, use the calculation for everything. Number three, have a detail. This is, we can use the calculation, and this we what? But we cannot, what we can't do is make a mixture of what? No, we can't make a mixture of what? All three. It's absolutely bad. It's absolutely good. It don't work like that. Everybody understand? It doesn't what? It doesn't work like that. And that's what happens in our daily lives. Right. When you get paid, Jumu'ah, when is Jumu'ah? Friday or Jumu'ah? When you make Hajj, based off of the Hijri calendar or the Gregorian calendar. Everybody know this? Khairan, inshallah. طيب. Yani, the concept of the traditional Islamic fiqh versus modern science, modern astronomy, things like this. Alright? We know there has to be detail. But everything that is a traditional practice of the Muslims does not mean that it is what? Proven by what? Text. Proven by what? By text. So common sense will tell you, Ahmed, if an issue is ijtihad from over 700 years ago and it's not directly based off Kitab and Sunnah, it is not to be what? No, you can still use it, but it's not to be something which is what? Off limits for re-evaluating. For what? Clear this or not? It's not to be off limits for what? Re-evaluation. Kitab and Sunnah, clear cut? La. Knowledge. And even then, there's the application of the ayah. In this country, we say this ayah doesn't apply. This hadith in this city doesn't what? Doesn't apply. Mathalan. But the ruling never ever changes. Let alone if the ruling is actual what? Ijtihad. And which is a scholar who collectively sat down and tried his best to come up with a ruling. And because of his students, because of the government supporting him, because of his fame, that ijtihad became as if it's what? Kitab and Sunnah. Okay? So we have to, it's a very important job for all Muslims to work together on this now. Scholars, scientists, researchers, everyone has to work together and come to the closest conclusion as possible. With regards to Qibla, date, time, divorce, debts, birth dates, things like this. Nah? Very, very important concept. And most importantly, the time of the prayer and the calculation or the sighting of the new moon phase. Khairan, inshallah. Don't take my word for it. Ramadan is coming up in about what? Over a month? You'll see what? You'll see it happen what? Again and again and again. No one has any importance or they play no importance on fiqh at all. When Ramadan comes, then the what? Fiqh comes out now. It's haram, you can't do this, kada. But before then, bid'ah, no problem. Ma'asiyah, sin, disobedience, that's not an issue. It's unfortunate. Khairan, inshallah. So let's move on to the next chapter. باب استحباب الإبراد بالظهر في شدة الحر لمن يمضي إلى جماعة ويناله الحر في طريقه. Next chapter, we didn't go into too deep detail of the custom of the 5 daily prayers because, like I said, it's a very long discussion, and many of those discussions are based off of hadiths which are not in the Sahihain, or only in Sahih Muslim. Naam. Let's read Nawawi's speech anyhow. He says here, أخر عمر بن عبد العزيز العصر فأنكر عليه عروة وأخرها المغيرة فأنكر عليه أبو مسعود الأنصاري واحتج بأمامة جبريل عليه السلام. أما تأخيرهما فلكونهما لم يبلغهما الحديث أو أنهما كانا يريان جواز التأخير ما لم يخرج الوقت كما هو مذهبنا ومذهب الجمهور. As far as the hadith that says that Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, one day he delayed the salah. He delayed the prayer, and the prayer was Asr. So Urwa ibn Zubayr refuted him for that. Why did you delay Salat al-Asr? And he also mentions that Mughira ibn Shu'bah, he delayed the prayer once, and Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari also did the same with him. And he used as a dalil the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, when Jibreel led the people in the prayer. I know he says these two, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz being from the Tabi'een, and Mughira ibn Shu'bah radiallahu ta'ala from the Sahaba, the only reason why they did this, he says, is perhaps they didn't know about this specific hadith. Perhaps they know about what? This specific hadith. He says, or the second scenario is that they had the view that it was permissible to delay salah. And it isn't mandatory to make the salah as soon as it what? Comes in. And it's permissible for the salah to be made as long as it doesn't go out. As long as the salah doesn't what? Go out. No, he says this is the view of the Shafi'i madhab and most of the ulama, is that it's permissible to delay the salah as long as the time does not what? Go out. Is that the best thing to do? Should you do that every single day? Should you do it without a necessity? It's not on the table of discussion right now. The table of discussion is al-jawazu min adam al-jawaz. Permissible or impermissible. So he says here, is that this is the view of most of the people of knowledge, the fuqaha, is that it is permissible to delay the salah as long as the time doesn't what? Go out. So a person being at work or at the hospital or at the airport or traffic or whatever the case may be, and he has something that is pressing, something that he has to get done, a difficult situation. Asr comes in, or say for example, the adhan 4:30 for Asr, 4:35, and it goes out at 7:12. Based off of this, it's permissible for him to drive this place to this place, buy this, go do this, take care of that, take a nap, whatever the case may be, and make Salat al-Asr at 6:30. Make Salat al-Asr when? 6:30 p.m. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this? Make Salat al-Asr at what? 6:30 p.m. One could even say 6 what? 45. That's not the best thing for him to do, but it's what? Based on it, permissible. The benefit of this is not to take the prayer lightly and to delay the salah unnecessarily, but in the scenario in which we just what? Mentioned, in which you have to have a balance. I have to go here before they close. My daughter needs medicine. I have to do this. My car, I'm going to get a ticket if I park there. You have to have the what? The proper what? Proper fiqh. As far as if you don't have those pressing issues that make asr at the time when it comes in. Everybody clear on this? Moving forward. النووي رحمه الله تعالى, he then says, وأما احتجاج بمسعود وروة بالحديث فقد يقال قد ثبت في الحديث في سنن أبي داود الترمذي وغيرهما من رواية ابن عباس وغيره في إمامة جبريل صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه صلى الصلوات الخمس مرتين في يومين، فصلى الخمس في اليوم الأول في أول الوقت وفي اليوم الثاني في آخر وقت الاختيار، وإذا كان كذلك فكيف يقر. He then says here, as far, and then he discussed the issue even deeper with regards to when does Asr come in and how many times did Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam lead the Prophet in prayer. Like we said, outside of Bukhari and Muslim, outside of Sahih Muslim as well, Jibreel led the Prophet in prayer how many times? Just one day? Or we read what? It was more than what? One day. The first day he led him in prayer in the beginning of the time, and the second day he led him in prayer in the what? End of the time. At the what? At the end of time. Everybody understand this? And this is the asl, or the foundation of some of the issues of difference of opinion. When is asr to be made? At 4:40 p.m. or at 6 p.m.? The timetable, Hanafi or Shafi'i? Everybody clear on this? The Hanafi ulama, why do they say make asr at 6 p.m.? Because they just want to practice bid'ah. They don't love the sunnah. They have no knowledge. They sort of have a mustard seed of proof, he said. Or is it based off of their investigation of the text? Whether you agree with it or what? Or not. But it's based off of something. It's a technical what? It's based off of something. Khayran inshallah ta'ala. He then says here, وكان يصلي العصر والشمس في حجرتها قبل أن تظهر، وفي رواية يصلي العصر والشمس طالعة في حجرته لم يفي الفيء بعد، وفي رواية والشمس واقعة في حجرتي. معناه كله. He says here, Bismillah. He says معناه كله التكبير كذا. قال التكبير بالعصر في أول وقتها، هذا خطأ. التبكير بالعصر في أول وقتها، وهو حين يصير ظل كل شيء مثله، وكانت الحجرة ضيقة العرصة قصيرة الجدار بحيث يكون طول جدارها أقل من مساحة العرصة بشيء يسير، فإذا صار ظل الجدار مثله دخل وقت العصر، وتكون الشمس بعد في أواخر العرصة ما لم يقع الفيء في الجدار الشرقي، وكل الروايات محمولة على ما ذكرناه بالله التوفيق. He speaks about the issue here, Hadith 356 in the wal-Marjan. Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that Allah's Messenger used to offer Asr prayer when the sunshine was still inside her residence. When the sunshine was still what? Inside of her residence. He mentions different versions of the Sahih Muslim. He says all of these things mean is that the Prophet he made Asr as soon as it what? Came in. And he didn't delay the Asr. He didn't delay the Asr. And then he talks about the reasons why we understand this or don't understand this. The shadow, the sun. Everything is initially based off of the what? The sun. You take a stake, you place it in the ground. Now, this, you put, at 9 a.m., does it have a shadow or not? At 10 a.m., does it have a shadow or not? At 12 p.m., is there a shadow? At 2 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m., 6:55 p.m., what is the size or the length of the shadow? So, first and foremost, is the original shadow is going to be based off of the original size of this, the length of this. How many inches is this? 8 inches? About 8 inches. Centimeters? We got disciples all over the world that don't use the metric system, right? Tayyib. What's important is that there's going to be two things with regards to this. One is Fay az-Zawal. Fay az-Zawal is a shadow that comes, but it's not the actual true shadow length. Not the actual what? True shadow length. Two types. Fay az-Zawal is one shadow, and then the actual tul al-shay, the length of a thing being put on top of the Fay az-Zawal. Siwa Fay az-Zawal. Everybody clear on this? So they're going to differ on what time does Dhuhr come in and go out. Asr come in based off of the what? The shadow. Shadow coming down here. Like a sundial. Everybody clear on this? Obviously the modern calculation being based off of the ancient means of calculation. Modern calculation being based off of the ancient what? Means. Just like time. Exploration. And the same goes for everything. So therefore, Aisha is saying that the prayer was made and the sun was still what? Shining in my apartment where she lived. Meaning that he didn't make Asr and the sun was very low. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this or not? It's a very, very long technical discussion. This is what it's based off. This is what it's what? This is what it's based off of. She then says, or no, he then says here, قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا صليتم الصبح فإنه وقت إلى أن يطلع قرن الشمس الأول. طيب. We explained this about what? The hadith in Sahih Muslim that are not in what? The Sahihain and the wal-Marjan. And that's what Nawawi is explaining. Khairan, inshallah. Let's move forward. That way we won't cause any more confusion. Khairan. Tayyib. Bismillah. Moving forward. He says here, chapter number 32. باب استحباب الإبراد بالظهر في شدة الحر لمن يمضي إلى جماعة ويناله الحر في طريقه. It says preferable to delay the dhuhr prayer until it becomes a bit cooler during severe heat for the one who goes to the congregational prayer and encounters heat on his way. This chapter heading is a clear example of what we've explained. Is that Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, he makes the chapter headings based off of his madhab. Based off of what? His madhab. He's saying that it's recommended, not obligatory. Although ulama may take the hadith and they may say it's what? Obligatory to delay dhuhr when it's really hot outside. That's number one. Number two. He says here, لِمَنْ يَمْضِي إِلَى جَمَاعَةٍ. For those who are walking to the congregational prayer. It's recommended for them to delay the dhuhr. In other words, let's say in the summertime, dhuhr is at 1:30 p.m. But it's a heat wave. It's 95 degrees with humidity. It's dangerous. Old ladies are passing out and dying. Cats and dogs are dying. The electricity has stopped. It's a heat wave in New York City. We say that instead of 1:30 p.m., Salatul Dhuhr will be made at 3 p.m. At what? 3 p.m. Only for the purpose of those who live and have to walk to the masjid for it to be what? Cooler. Stay in your homes. Don't walk in this heat. And if you're in your house and you're not going to the masjid, based off of this, it isn't recommended for you to delay it. Make dhuhr at what? 1:30 p.m. And others, they may say, rather, it is recommended to delay Salatul Dhuhr whether you're walking to the masjid or not. For another reason. From the wisdom of it is making it easy upon those who come to the Jama'ah. But that's not the only wisdom. But that's not Shafi. That's not Nawawi's understanding. He makes conditions and restrictions. It's only recommended. That's number one. Not what? obligatory. What does the hadith say? Let's read it in Arabic. It says what? فَأَبْرِدُوا. It says what? فَأَبْرِدُوا. هذا فعل أمر. He says, cool off, cool the prayer off. فَأَبْرِدُوا بِالصَّلَاةِ. Why? Why should we cool off? Why should we allow it to cool down? لماذا؟ فَإِنَّ شِدَّةَ الْحَرِّ مِنْ فَيْحِ جَهَنَّمٍ. He says because شِدَّةَ الْفَيْحِ, he says extreme heat. In the شِدَّةَ الْحَرِّ, he says extreme heat is from the what? مِنْ فَيْحِ جَهَنَّمٍ. It's from the breathing of the fire of hell. So somebody may say that number one, it is obligatory to do what? To delay Salat al-Dhuhr. And then they may say it's also obligatory, or even for argument's sake recommended, to delay Salat al-Dhuhr whether you come into the masjid or not. Why? Because it's what? It's a spiritual reason now, and not just a tangible reason. Everybody understand this? But that's not what Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala is going to say. Nawawi is going to make the chapter of the hadith based off of his tarjih, what he feels is most correct. Everybody understand this? So something to be mindful of. So he says, باب استحباب الإبراد بالظهر في شدة الحر لمن يمضي إلى جماعة ويناله الحر في طريقه. And a person who's going to be affected by the heat. That also proves, that's another restriction, is that those who aren't affected by the heat should not delay it. And others, they may say what? No, just like the rain. Is it the sunnah to combine Isha and Maghrib when it's raining, when it's snowing? Or is it just rukhsa? Is it a sunnah or rukhsa if you have a car? Who's getting affected by the rain? It's not like you're on a camel walking in the streets, mud. Everybody understand this? These are issues of which the ulama of Islam, they differ. Everybody clear on this? What's important is, al-muhim, as I just said to you, the scholars of Islam, they have different times in which they agree and disagree regarding the times of the prayer. Versus jama'ah and salat al-fard, when you pray by yourself. So based off of the chapter I know we mentioned, going to the masjid for salat al-dhuhr is recommended to do what? To delay it. If you're praying in your house, salat al-dhuhr in the heat wave, it's not recommended to delay it. It's not recommended to what? Delay it. So the jama'ah has specific rulings. Has specific what? Rulings, like salat al-isha. If you make salat al-isha, it's a special time. If you're not making salat in jama'ah, you're traveling, a woman, someone is sick, far from the masjid, it's a different time in which it's best to make isha. Everybody clear on this or not? There's a what? There's a difference. Ahkam of jama'ah sometimes are a bit different than the ahkam of what? Individual prayer. Everybody clear on this? So I'm in my house. I have AC. I have cold spring water. It's cool and shady. It's 95 degrees outside. There's no reason for me to delay what? Dhuhr. But those who plan on going to the masjid, then they say what? فَأَبْرِدُوا. وهذا يدلنا على أهمية الحفاظ على صلاة الجماعة وأنها فرض واجبة. ولا النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام قال صلوا في بيوتكم. صلوا في بيوتكم. لماذا تخرجون في هذا الحر؟ لماذا تؤخرون? This shows that the Jama'ah prayer is important and it's mandatory. And if it wasn't, the Prophet would told the companions to do what? Stay home. Why even leave your house? And it's later on, which shows that the Jama'ah is what? Mandatory. For those who live in the vicinity of the masjid. As far as if you live far from the masjid, that's a different story. If a person is sick or ill, that's a what? A different story. وهكذا. A man is required to go to the masjid and not a woman. طيب خيرا إن شاء الله. Moving forward. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال إذا اشتد الحر فأبردوا بالصلاة فإن شدة الحر من فيح جهنم. حديث أبي ذر رضي الله عنه قال أذن مؤذن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الظهر فقال أبرد أبرد أو قال انتظر انتظر وقال شدة الحر من فيح جهنم فإذا اشتد الحر فأبردوا عن الصلاة حتى رأينا في التلول. The first hadith is the narration of Abu Hurairah, hadith 357. Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, if it is very hot, then offer the dhuhr prayer when it becomes a bit cooler, as the severity of heat is from the raging of the hellfire. Hadith 358 is narrated by Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu. The call maker of the Prophet ﷺ pronounced that the adhan for Dhuhr prayer, but the Prophet ﷺ said, let it be cooler, let it be cooler. Or he said, wait, wait, because the severity of heat is from the raging of the hellfire. And severe hot weather offers salat when it becomes a bit cooler and the shadows of hillocks appear. Last hadith of the chapter is 359. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال اشتكت النار إلى ربها فقالت يا رب أكل بعضي بعضا فأذن لها بنفسين نفس في الشتاء ونفس في الصيف فهو أشد ما تجدون من الحر وأشد ما تجدون من الزمهرير والعياذ بالله. Narrated Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه, the Prophet ﷺ said, the fire of hell complained to its Lord saying, O Lord, my parts are eating one another. So Allah allowed us to take two breaths, one in the winter and the other in the summer. The breath in the summer is at the time when you feel the severest heat, and the breath in the winter is at the time when you feel the severest cold. Waliyadu billah. So these three hadiths, they all show us one main fiqh ruling, and that is the congregational prayer should be delayed when there is a hardship and a difficulty upon the people. And from those hardships is severe what? Heat. And also one may say severe what? Cold. Severe cold. Or a person may say, stay what? In your house. Now, we learn many, many things from these hadiths, brothers and sisters. Minha, we learn from this what? How beautiful the Sharia is. And how gentle the Sharia is with the adherence of it. The Sharia is not made to punish people. It's not made to make a hardship upon people. But it's made to structure people, to discipline people, and allow them to worship Allah, the purpose of their creation. It's not meant to adhab an-nas. It's not meant to punish anyone and harm anyone. Huh? That's the scriptures of the previous people, not ours. Their perverted text. وَيَضَوْ عَنْهُمْ إِسْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالُ الَّتِي كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ. The Prophet ﷺ, from his missions, was to make things easy for the people and simple for the people. But it doesn't mean that you just disrespect the Sharia and do whatever you want to do. There's a balance. There's a what? A balance, huh? الرخصة والتيسير هذا لا يعني الانفتاح والتفلت من الشريعة. افعل ما شئت ولا حرج. الإيمان في القلب. خلاص. This is what we hear. Iman is in your heart. Allah is most forgiving. It doesn't matter. What's the big deal? It's 2018. We're أقليات يعني في أمريكا. No, it doesn't mean that there's a what? There is a balance. There is a divine what? A divine balance. And the moment we lose that balance, we stray too far to the right or too far to the left. Khayran inshallah. That's first and foremost. Secondly is, this goes to show you, what time is it there now? We have to stop. You have a few minutes for the adhan? 7 minutes. For here or the schedule? 7 minutes on time. Khair inshallah. Al-Muhim. We'll finish this in our next class. Inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khairan. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Wa sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina Muhammad. Barakallahu feekum.